Hey guys, welcome back. I want to unbox and review the next figure for me in the Necronominus wave for Mythic Legions. This is Belualyth. This one is effectively a two-pack here, which comes with some really cool creatures and everything in there. We can take a look at the side. We see her bio. Other side, we see the faction. And on the back, we have a cool art of the four dark ones there. Some cross-sale with some other figures from the Necronominus wave. And of course, through the big window, we can see the figure, a lot of the accessories, and this little creation here I'm excited to get my hands on. All right, let's crack her open and take a look at what's inside. Here we have a look at Belualyth with everything that she comes with. We have some of the skeleton creations over here. We have extra head. We have an extra head and hands, and then some shoulder armor and a couple other accessories here. Let's take a closer look. And here we have a closer look at the figure. This is one of two head sculpts. She has another head sculpt and a hairpiece. We'll look at it in a second. They're both the same hairpiece. We just get two of them. And they are just removable here. So they're not glued down, nothing like that, but pretty easy to swap on and off. We see a little bit of her chest and torso armor here. We have one armored arm and gauntlet and a leather glove. We have a bare arm, different gauntlet, and an unleathered hand, or an ungloved hand. One thing I do not like about these two different hands is they're actually two different sizes, and we can see that when we look at the extra hands in a moment, but the gloved and bare hands are actually slightly different sizes. We have a belt here, has some of her skulls and different bone parts, chain. We have a whip over here. We have some pouches, a little bit of armor on the backside, some nice armor on the thighs. We have some soft goods, like a little half skirt and this loincloth piece. We have kind of a bare thigh and the armored legs and feet. The hairpiece itself is actually very flexible with, very little effort. These are moving, so we can still get some posability in that head, even with such a large hairpiece. It's pretty flexible. All right, and a quick look at articulation. She can look down about that far, up about that far, which is pretty good considering that hair. She can tilt her head side to side. And we do have a pretty decent ability to turn the head. You can see that with her shoulders. She can turn quite a bit. And then we have this diaphragm joint. We can get good side to side turning. We get a little bit of a rock back and forth. We do get an ab crunch and kind of a lean back there. A little bit there. In the legs, we are going to be a little bit limited. Well, I say that. I thought we were going to be limited with that soft goods piece, but that's a pretty good splits there. We have a pretty good front kick here. Kick to the rear about there. Single jointed knee, about 90 degrees. The toes have quite a bit in them of play, and we have that rocker. The arms, they're both going to get out to about 90 degrees or so, and we have the single jointed elbow with the pivot, a little less than 90, and then we have articulation in the wrists, dependent on which hand we're using. Before we move on, I'll point out the hands. So the leather hand on the right, she has a closed fist, and the non-gloved hand, she's kind of a standard gripping hand. Look at the first pair of hands here. We have a leather glove for the left hand that's a gripping hand, so she can have both hands gloved. And we have a gripping hand for her right hand, so she can have both hands ungloved and both gripping hands. And then we have two of these like open clawing hands that are ungloved. Real veiny, good paint job, good effects, good sculpt. I like these hands a lot. Here's the second head sculpt she comes with. Same hair piece, which is also removable on there. This head is just a little bit more decayed. You can see the nose missing and some like kind of lesions or sores, open wounds kind of thing in her face. This is a cool head. Now look at one of the other accessories. Here's like some shoulder armor or a pauldron with a leather strap to go around her torso and cover her right shoulder. It's a really nice looking animal skull here. Really good sculpt, as always. Paint and the washwork look really nice. She does have one included weapon. This knife we've seen before, but I don't have one with this paint treatment. So we get a few different colors, 3 different colors on there. And I think it makes all the details stand out really nicely in this weapon. We have this bone accessory that actually ports into her back, And this hooks onto the cage here with the skeleton, the snake skeleton in it. So we'll see that on her in a moment. We have this gauntlet here with this bird skeleton on it, and this will go on her right gauntlet, it looks like. There actually is some articulation in this head here. We can get it pointed around different directions. Maybe a little bit up. Cool. Get a little personality out of that bird. We have this snake skeleton in a cage. This will hook onto that bone accessory that plugs into her back. And the cage is removable. I'm going to gently get that off of there. And we have the snake skeleton there that is removable from the stand. But a very nicely detailed and washed snake there. And a closer look at this abomination here that she comes with. He does have a permanently mounted chain. It's like a metal chain with a handle as a leash. Kind of a little harness thing going on there. His legs are articulated. They're on ball joints, so some of the legs go in and out okay. They go around. No articulation anywhere else in the legs there, but front and back are articulated. The neck joint spins side to side, so you can get some rotation out of that. The heads are on standard ball joints, so you can put whatever heads you like on there, actually. And there's been a lot of really cool videos and photos I've seen with different head swaps for this figure. This tail is articulated right here at this joint. And then this head is also articulated. There's a little ball joint there, although I think that's standard than a normal size. Check that out. But yeah, really cool little creature. And here we have her all kitted up. We have the one weapon included there. I did put on her gauntlet, that leather gauntlet on the right hand holding the skeleton bird. Also gave her that kind of bone backpack kind of piece that holds the skeletal snake, and put on that skull pauldron on the right arm. All kitted out, she definitely looks like a Beastmaster type of character, and this is something that's so cool to me to see this for like undead creatures, undead abominations, some of them that she is bringing to life and wielding in battle. You know, I think this is super cool. I really like animals as ancillary or, you know, fill-in figures for my shelf, and I've also really liked Mythic's skeletons and different skeletal figures. I think this idea of skeletal animals is beyond cool. I never thought about it, but I'm all about it now. And here we have a quick look with her stripped down a little bit, and I replaced her left hand with that leather hand. You can see that look with both leather hands here. As I mentioned earlier, these leather hands are just slightly smaller than her ungloved hands. When they're on the figure, you can't see or tell a difference, or they don't seem out of scale, at least to me. But when I have one on and the other on, I can see it plainly. So that bugs me a little bit. So I'll probably have both of one hand on at a time, either both gloved hands or both ungloved hands. And there I am just playing around with that skeletal snake. I think it's a really cool figure. I hate to see it just kind of hidden in that cage all the time. Maybe some ideas with displaying her with that snake wrapped around her a little bit. I'm getting Cassandra from Wayne's World vibes of shooting that music video. If you know what I'm talking about, you're probably old, like me. And here we have her with the other alternate head sculpt, the more decayed, noseless version. And this horrifying little creature, mommy's little monster, if you will. I think this thing is super cool. I've mentioned earlier that I have some other animals, 3D prints that I've painted, or other articulated animals from different lines on display with my Mythic and Savage Crucible figures, and I think this is a great addition. I'm glad it has any articulation. The fact that the heads can move around, the tail can move around, gives it a lot of personality, and I'm really looking forward to swapping those head sculpts out and seeing what other kind of horrors I can create. All right, and some shots here for scale purposes. Here we have her with two other Mythic Legions standard size figures, Maxilius there, and a custom Dark Templar that I've made into a skeleton warrior. And here we have a dwarf size Mythic Legions on the right, and the Conibus horse for Necronominus himself. And here on the left from Dinosaur Battlefield, one of the Carnotaurus warriors. And on the right, one of the Savage Crucible Lemurian slates. And last here, we have one of the Storm collectibles on the right. This is the Dead Frame from Golden Axe 3. On the left, we have one of the NECA D&D War Duke. And up front, that's actually a G.I. Joe Classified Wolf. So some final thoughts. And the execution of everything in here is phenomenal. I mean, not just the sculpt, which, you know, I'm at this point, I'm kind of used to the Mythic Legion sculpt being so nice, so high quality, so detailed. But also the paint and the finish work, the wash on there, On that snake skeleton, on this abomination here, on her and her armor pieces, is really, really top notch. Some of the characters just jump out and have a little bit more personality, seem a little bit more lively on the shelf. And this is one of them. She doesn't really look flat to me, and doesn't really blend into the background of just shelf fodder, figures filling up a shelf. To me, she seems like she has a lot of presence, and I'm really excited to have her. As far as getting in direct pros and cons, the one con I have right away, easy to come to mind, is it might just be my copy, but my copy has very, very loose ankle joints. So stopping her from falling forwards or backwards is pretty difficult. I really need to have the joints really not parallel to each other, so she can't easily just fall forward or back. I have to have her toes pointed out or pointed toward each other to help alleviate that problem. But yeah, it was very frustrating just doing normal basic poses with her, having her not fall over. But it's really just from the ankle joints, not from the knees or the hips. So one less thing to fix. Again, that might just be a bad copy that I got. There's always going to be QC problems. And the pros are basically everything else I listed. Once you get into this dollar range for a figure, maybe it does sound a little ridiculous, coming from somebody who used to be very heavily invested in like Star Wars Black Series and the Marvel Legends, when those were like, $20 around there. Look at spending $60 on a single figure, it really better blow your socks off. And to me, this really does blow my socks off, especially when you're just talking about comparing to the quality of Marvel Legends or a Star Wars Black Series. There's so much going on with it. For the price, I couldn't be happier with this type of figure. I've certainly spent more on figures I've been less happy with, I'll say that. But yeah, that's the short and sweet of it. I'm really glad I got her. If you have this wave, or you're into skeletons, you're into creatures, you're into maybe the more macabre type stuff, I would suggest you picking her up, even if you don't have Mythic Legions. If you have other scenes like this, dungeon scenes, or any other kind of horror scenes, I could see her fitting in really nicely to other displays. Well, that about does it for me. I could talk more on her, but I think I've said all I can say. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.